ISIS is attacking the Taliban in Jalalabad and seems to be exaggerating its impact, claiming nearly 3 dozen were killed in at least 5 attacks Saturday, attacks which locals said killed just 4 people, according to the Washington Post. Reuters put the death toll in Saturday's attacks at 3 people killed and about 20 wounded. Taliban fighters miss war against the U.S., some of them told Susanna George of the Washington Post on Sunday. Said one fighter to George, "Many of my fighters are worried that they miss their chance at martyrdom in the war. I tell them they need to relax. They still have a chance to become martyrs." Also unsurprisingly, the Taliban are telling Kabul's female government workers to stay home, CNN reports, in some of the latest known restrictions to follow a return to Taliban rule. On Sunday, women in Kabul protested the Taliban decision to shut down the Ministry of Women's Affairs and replace it with the comparatively draconian Ministry of the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice. This time, unlike, e.g., September 5, the Taliban do not appear to have violently broken up the protest, according to Reuters. The U.S. military killed 10 innocent people on its way out the door in Afghanistan, officials announced Friday afternoon. What happened? The decision to fire a Hellfire missile that accidentally killed 10 Afghan civilians last month was based not on the solid identification of ISIS-K fighters, but a series of coincidences and assumptions, Defense One's Tara Kopp reported Friday. Worth noting, the New York Times Visual Investigations team came to this errant strike conclusion early, reporting on the accountability angle as early as September 10. Clearly, our intelligence was wrong on this particular white Toyota Corolla, U.S. Central Command Marine Gen. Frank McKenzie told reporters Friday. Read Kopp's full reporting from Friday here. For the record, Afghanistan has fallen below the fold on today's Wall Street Journal and Washington Post front pages, terrorism analyst Bruce Hoffman noticed this morning on Twitter. Trade versus subs, the risky U.S. trade-off in the Asia-Pacific. Ian Johnson, Council on Foreign Relations, which will matter more, a dozen more nuclear subs on the U.S. side of the ledger, or a trade pact that could draw many of the world's largest economies ever closer toward China. The Taliban PR campaign has not ended, but transformed. Tanya Gadsouzian, messages of liberation and inclusiveness have given way to ones that serve the consolidation of power. Welcome to this Monday edition of The Debrief from Ben Watson. If you're not already subscribed to The Debrief, you can do that here. On this day 20 years ago, U.S. President George W. Bush announced the start of an American-led war on terror in an address to a joint session of Congress. Ahead of its annual meeting in New York, the UN's chief says the U.S. and China need to find a way to get along. That's Secretary General Antonio Guterres' opening message ahead of this week's United Nations General Assembly, which begins Tuesday, the Associated Press reports from United Nations headquarters in New York. Recall that at last year's UNGA, former President Donald Trump used his allocated time to lampoon China over COVID-19 and, among many other boasts, brag about U.S. nuclear weapons. Another thing in U.S.-China relations, the U.S. Army's professional journal Military Review features quite a cover on its latest issue, which is entitled China Reader Special Edition. Next in UNGA developments, President Biden flies to Nick this evening for a bilateral meeting with Guterres, according to his public schedule. He speaks Tuesday before holding 2 bilateral meetings with, take a guess, did you say Boris Johnson and Scott Morrison, the Prime Ministers of the UK and Australia, respectively. The three, of course, held a trilateral virtual meeting last week about a nuclear submarine deal, to France and Europe's still ongoing dismay this week.